BBC News with Sue Montgomery. Much of Western Europe has been sweltering under an intense heat wave. Severe heat warnings have been issued in Britain and France, while parts of northern Spain registered temperatures of 43 degrees Celsius. The Spanish Prime Minister, Pedro Sánchez, said the devastating effects of global warming were becoming clear.
More than
70,000 hectares have been destroyed as a result of fires so far this year in our country. That's almost double the average of the last decades. All these fires are caused by heat waves due to the climatic emergency that the planet is experiencing right now.
EU scientists have warned that a staggering amount of land across the bloc is suffering from drought. They say it's driving down crop yields and affecting hydroelectric power generation. Jury selection has begun in the trial of Steve Bannon, a former close aide to Donald Trump, who faces charges of criminal contempt of Congress for refusing to cooperate with the investigation into the Capitol building insurrection in January last year. Nomi Iqbal reports from Washington.
It's really rare for the Department of Justice to prosecute these contempt of Congress cases. Even at the time when we were reporting it, it was kind of quite 50-50 whether or not they'd pursue it, but they did pursue it. It's also very rare for witnesses to display the outright defiance that Steve Bannon did in the lead up to his indictment. But here we are now where the jury selection is beginning before his trial actually starts tomorrow.
Nearly 5 months after being forced to close down, Russia's last independent TV channel is back on air. Sasha Schlichter reports on TV Rain.
Known in Russian as Dozhd, the channel came into being in 2010 when many thought President Dmitry Medvedev was going to be a breath of fresh air. 4 years later, after Vladimir Putin annexed Crimea and fomented a war in eastern Ukraine, life for an independent TV channel became increasingly difficult. Yet it lasted up until this year's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, eventually being forced to shut down when blocked for mentioning the word war. Its staff fled Russia to begin work to rebuild the station abroad. From tonight, it's broadcasting from neighbouring Latvia. Among other platforms, it will be streaming via YouTube, making it accessible to Russian audiences.
The Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador says he gave a letter to Joe Biden last week, asserting the innocence of the WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange and renewed his offer of political asylum. Mr. López Obrador said his letter argued that Mr. Assange had committed no serious crime and that to jail him would amount to an assault on the freedom of expression. He said President Biden are yet to reply. World News from the BBC. The powerful Iraqi cleric Muqtada Asadr has denounced the former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki in the latest confrontation between political factions in the country. He was reacting after audio emerged allegedly of al-Maliki accusing Asadr of being a Zionist and a plaything of British intelligence. Asadr called on the former Prime Minister to leave politics or turn himself in to the authorities. European Union member states have agreed to open long-delayed accession talks with Albania and North Macedonia. Parliament in North Macedonia voted at the weekend in favour of a deal, under which Bulgaria agreed to lift its long-standing veto of North Macedonia's membership, in return for Bulgarians being recognised as an official minority group. The sentencing trial has begun for the man who killed 17 people at a Florida high school more than 4 years ago. This is the deadliest US mass shooting to go before a jury, which will decide whether Nicholas Cruz gets the death penalty or life in prison without parole. Here's Barbara Plett-Usher.
The prosecutor opened the trial by recounting in excruciating detail what he called a cold, calculated massacre. He named each of the victims and emphasized the times Nicholas Cruz turned back and again shot those he'd already hit, a factor that could help make the case for the death penalty. Family members in the courtroom clasped hands and wept as he spoke. The defense chose not to deliver its opening statement yet. It's expected to argue that Mr. Cruz has long suffered from emotional and psychological problems and should therefore be spared execution. The trial could take several months.
A Chinese filmmaker has appeared in court in Malawi charged with child exploitation. Liu Ke was living in Malawi when a BBC investigation reported that he'd used local children to film personalised greetings, some of which included racist content. BBC News.